Welcome back to another episode of the Walkie Talkie Traveller channel. I'm in Western Ukraine. The town or city is Kamyanets-Podilsky. This might look familiar. Big abandoned buildings. Today I'm taking the Ruska Street route and we're still in kitten country. How much am I paying you, kittens? How much am I paying you to just appear as little charmers for my video? Oh, yes, I know. I'm risking you perhaps savaging me, but I don't think you will because you're so small. Sorry, I don't have anything for you. Bless him. The aim really is to just try to establish for my own curiosity, where is the Ruthenian Gate? I think this is supposed to be the Ruthenian Gate straight ahead. Ah, there it is. I was wondering where this big tower had got to. And is this going to be an interesting fun ride for someone? Or is it going to be a way of conveying something nasty over a fortress defensive wall? It looks as though somebody's tried to tart this up a bit at some stage. Maybe create a bit of a bar here. Porta Temporis. Let's enter. As far as we can. Which isn't very far. And I've got a feeling that there are certain times when there are medieval reenactments taking place in this locale, or they have done in the past. But I'm glad I found it, finally. Big word, museo. So it's a museum. This is a nationally important piece of architecture dating to the 16th to 18th centuries. On this side at least, the museum's all locked up. More about the Ruthenian Gate. It's a hydraulic structure with fortifications. It was built at the beginning of the 16th century. The gate was composed of 8 towers, a barbican and defensive walls with total length 230 metres. The renovation works were carried out in the 1540s, as early as that, 1715 to 1720, and in the middle of the 18th century. Floods caused considerable damage to the hydraulic system, so nowadays only 3 of 8 towers remained. Mr. Sunshine is smiling on us. I don't think so, though. I think what you see is what you get. Different time of year, different conditions, and that water did considerable damage, to say the least. If this is all we've got left after all those other towers had been erected as well, and stood briefly, but I think it was a bit of a hopeless cause from the outset, to be honest. If they were doing renovations almost as soon as they built it. Look at the nasty cracks going up there. We're lucky to have this tower left, I think. And for how much longer? There we can see the top of another tower. Walking around a bit reveals possibly some private land, so I've got to be careful. And there's a third tower, all overgrown up here, and I'm guessing we can't actually get access to it. Ho, ho, ho. This looks, oh, I thought tower-like, but no, it's just natural rock-like. And that's what I was expecting. It actually worked out. Nice when that happens, isn't it? When a plan comes together. So we have here the third footbridge. We could potentially go this way back, in theory, to the ranch, if we knew where we were going. Depending on how I feel, how adventurous I am later, I might do something silly like go across there and just walk around and see where it leads after the museums. For now, yep, got some stuff. That doesn't look right, does it? Yeah, this looks more like it. Well, that piece of exercise got the heart rate up. And believe it or not, I just saw a little boat through the trees. A little boat on the water down there. I'd like to see what that's up to. Chernivtsi, 60 kilometers in that direction. To the left. To the right, Donetsk, 850 kilometers. Kiev, 340. Istanbul. Istanbul is closer than Donetsk, according to this. Open Monday till 9 till 4 in the afternoon. Vivtorok to Nedalia. Stepan Rudansky. Man with red hair, perhaps. Poet and writer. 40 hryvnia for the entrance fee for one adult. It's not much to pay. What do you get? Well, to be honest, from my point of view, a little bit of disappointment. Almost everything upstairs is the work of students in recent times, and the downstairs is limited. And the monk, this is the saddest part of all, the monk is there. You can see the monk, and you need to look round the back to see what's in his basket. Unfortunately, if you want to take pictures or make film, it's an extra 200 hryvnia. Maybe you're saying 200 hryvnia, what's that? Just under $6. Maybe that's not a lot of money for you. For me, it feels uncomfortable. That wasn't to be. There are two ladies who very carefully follow you and make sure you don't do anything naughty, like touch anything. And clearly, if I'd wanted to film the monk that badly, I would have been prepared to pay the 200 hryvnia, which I wasn't. I feel a bit sad. Let's hope we get a nice positive surprise from the Museum of Podillia just around the corner. Something I do appreciate about the museums here is the decent hours. You're not having to wait until 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning before the museum opens. So for those of us who want to get up and get out, we can do that. Pecheri Skelnogo Monastery. This makes me think of the Pechersky caves, the monasteries in Kiev. And oh, hello, you look familiar. And we've got some totems. This idol was found in the beginning of the 1970s near the village Suryentsy, nearby Kamianets-Podilsky. It is brought to the museum in 2016, second half of the 19th century, situated at the border between two villages. Idol was round top and 8 edges on the bottom. Face of the sculpture is missed. On the trunk there are a lot of crosses which symbolise evicting demons from the stone. In was considered that idol loses its divine power in this case. Okay. Google Translate. That's who we've got to blame. Who's this taking things easy? Easy life for some, eh? Yeah. Oh, it's all just too much, isn't it? Can hardly be bothered to clean my fur. Bit of a wonky donkey. This is a copy. Aha. Copy of the famous can't say it. Zbrukansky idol, or Sviatbud, late 10th to 11th century. The original one is in Poland. It was found in 1848 in Zbruk River. There are 4 sides, each of them represent one of the gods. Gods are named. It's only a copy, but I don't care. I'm happy to take anything. Everything's a bonus. Have these lost their decoration, or were they never decorated? In 1950 to 52, in the village Ivankivtsi, ancient altar with the idols was found. Head is missed. Surface not polished. Last one is a figure of a man with a beard. Part of head is missed, but eyes, nose, moustache are well seeing. Hands and sword carved on the torso of the image. Really? Ah, I can see some faces. Yeah, now I'm seeing some faces. And then suddenly, the more you look at it, oh yeah, I am making out something. I'm not sure what I'm making out, but and then the brain works harder to create an image that we can recognise. That one's had the head lopped off, or half the head. The top half of the head's come off. I see the shoulder and arms. That's a dinky little fella down there. Born of plenty in right hand and flatbread in left one. This isn't a little Mr. Milinky on the right. It isn't a child. It's the top half of a warrior. Allegedly. In a former excavated on the former Slavonic settlement. So in 1963, near the village Stavchany Khmelnytsky, ancient Slavonic altar was found. Stone idol has a beard and hat on his head. There's a horn of plenty in his hands, the symbol of horse carved on his back. Nearby a stone with the symbol of the sun, a circle, and snake was found. During excavation work, 4 places of bonfire with bones of animals and pottery were discovered. Perhaps this time I now know I'm looking for a horse. Is that a horse? Could be. Whew. Museum number 2, another 40 hryvnia, and not feeling sad, I can't say I'm feeling disappointed, because I learned 2 things which I didn't know, and in all honesty, I don't know whether I should be sceptical about the 2 things that I've just learned. The displays inside the building are, ooh, what are these on the tree behind me? What are you going to turn into, I wonder? Or what were you before you shriveled up? Inside, it's just ground floor only and a few rooms with some old bits and bobs which have been found from a few different periods of history. Early signs of settlement, and yeah, you can't argue when you've only paid $1 and 10 cents. What I am going to say is I can't help being a little bit dubious over the 2 things I've learned. One is, according to the information in there, because all the displays are both written in Ukrainian and in English, so kudos to whoever's responsible for arranging that. Very lucky being able to read English. That allegedly, at least in this part of the world, the idea of marriage was recognised as long ago, or as recently, as 1,000 years BC. That's to be believed about 3,000 years ago. The other thing which I've learned is that I've not seen this ever. A reference to the fact that there were settled hunter-gatherers who were then replaced by nomadic tribespeople. Normally, it's that we think of the nomadic hunter-gatherers being replaced by the settled first farmers, and indeed, no doubt that will have occurred. I'd like to see a little 30-minute documentary, I think, on the topics raised in this museum. Probably not going to see that, but yeah, I'm going to remember those 2 things. Whatever else I forget, I'm going to remember those 2 things. So I'm pleased I went in. I've seen an interesting character. Signs of a dragon, or signs, maybe not of a dragon, but of a monster, of a demon, hanging off the top of a building. I'm going to investigate. Who's this monster then? And how long's he been up there? An ugly looking beast. Somebody's decided to develop this site. And as modern construction goes, it's not too bad at all, is it? There's definitely some character here, which matches the rest of the square, pleased to say. Oh, it's the paving fragment of Polish Market Square of the 1760s. It hosted one of the first coffee houses in Europe. I'm thinking back to that coffee baron who had a statue to him back in Lviv, if you remember the guy. There was a Polish market, and was that superseded by the Armenian market, or did the Polish market sit alongside the Armenian market? And as I suspected today, it's all about touristic themes. There's an awful lot of stalls selling touristic stuff. I can't imagine that they're making much money from it, but good luck to them if they are. Hello, Sleepy. We're no longer in kitten country, we're back in Hangsville. Not Dog Pangsville, but that's Sleeping Dog Sly Hangsville. Heading towards a viewing platform. Yeah, we definitely must be in Hangsville because I can hear those hounds howling. Some wise words of Taras Shevchenko. Nice view of the fortress. It's just a bit far away. Not for the faint-hearted. Not sure where this leads to. I think you need to go down there though to get to the Polish gate. Up here we've got the Turkish Bastion. And I thought we were walking off into village territory, but right up there we've got the old town again, so not too far away. I'm not going to go through there because it looks as though it could be maybe a dubious character or two up to something, so I'd rather walk here in the shade. Looking a bit of a dubious character myself, no doubt. Building which has a bit of history itself, it seems. Well, it's nice that somebody took the trouble to do this. It's not a museum, just an old building which, well, we can only see as an old wall. The guy in the mural is Simon Petliura. You can read about him there. Out of the blue, unheralded. There we have a huge undertaking. Thank you very much to the artist who did it. What an unexpected treat. Same artist, maybe? Well, somebody likes their pets, don't they? Recycling. Smart idea. Nice. Well, the camera's decided to turn itself off again, and I can't be bothered to review what footage may have not been recorded, so at the risk of repeating myself, I shall say we've got some remnant of a cemetery that was here until the Bolsheviks came along. It seems in the 1930s, perhaps trashed the Polish cemetery without trashing the building itself, because no doubt they used it for some other purpose like storage, or who knows what they did with it. It's got to be John Paul II, hasn't it? Got to be. Coming into the garden does afford us the opportunity to get a view of the statues on top. What an interesting tower as well, with a golden Jesus at the top. Few remaining graves which have markers, but I imagine must have been an awful lot lost. Managed to find myself a new buddy. He's all hot and tuckered out. Don't blame him. Sorry I can't take you with me, friend. Sweet boy in need of a home. And we're back here. And suddenly, I'm back at the place where I'm staying. What could have happened? Well, I'll tell you. My camera happened, that's what happened. Yes, unfortunately, much of what I filmed, I didn't realise was filmed with the image stabilisation off. And the consequences of that obviously are that the picture is pretty horrendous. So shaky that it's practically unusable. I've tried to chop bits and pieces around to make it usable, or some of it, so it wasn't entirely wasted, and I've created some kind of little video for my last day in Kamyanets-Podilsky. I'm popping into the local shop to buy a bottle of the on-tap Oblon Kvass. I remember it from my time in Ukraine, years ago. The last time I drank it was probably 2011. And oh boy, I've missed it. Delicious. My favourite kvass. And luckily in this shop, for just 39 hryvnia, they'll give you a 1 litre plastic bottle, which you see being filled in front of your very eyes from the pipes. Absolutely delicious cold when you come back from a long hot day of rambling, roaming, walking, talking, whatever you happen to be doing. I hope you enjoyed our little walkie-talkie video, even if it's messy, chopped up and shaky in places. Sadly, we weren't able to see the monk and his naughty surprise. Perhaps that's just the way it's meant to be. Just a quick word about the accommodation where I've been staying for the last 4 nights here in Kamyanets-Podilsky. It's called Rooms with a Fortress View, and even though you can't actually see the fortress from your bedroom, remember you can from the rooftop if you've got a head for heights. I would still say at the price it's an absolute bargain. My small single room was perfectly adequate, everything was comfortable. All the facilities, hot water shower, good Wi-Fi, all good. Perfect host and his mother, both charming people. And Ivan speaks English, which is an extra bonus for English speakers like me. I paid just over 1,000 hryvnia for 4 nights, which is an absolute bargain. And I think, to put it into context, that price I paid here is the equivalent of 3 nights in a hostel in Lviv, in a dorm bed. Yeah, it's a cracking deal in a cracking little town.
Oh, I thought my camera would be beeping at me.